My learning intention and focus of my AIF project is to have an understanding of how the cinematic portrayal of Chinese characters affects public perception of Chinese culture. I used a SWOT analysis to consider how viable my ideas were and identify risks and opportunities, and I chose this project because it combined my passion for film and culture with my New Year's intention to reconnect with my own heritage. From there, I made a mind map so I could see what questions and topics I could research, as well as the benefits of completing this project. I initially read existing articles and interviews on the topic from scholars of various backgrounds and published in different decades to account for how perspectives may have changed over time, reduce bias, and gain an understanding of the stereotypes present in film over the years. I made a judgment to only pick these initial articles from reliable sources, such as universities, to ensure my research would be valid. My strategy of first gathering information and using this to inform my research greatly progressed my learning. Whilst watching and reading, I took notes using the brain dump technique, as this had worked effectively for me in the past with other subjects. I decided to do this note taking on my first read through to summarize information gained and manage my time effectively. I kept this, along with the annotated articles, inside a large folder so I could manage my sources and effectively keep track of all my gathered information. This was valuable for my research because it showed me ways of analyzing films and what to look for when viewing, as well as providing useful anecdotes and data. Analyzing existing articles proved to be an effective way to progress my learning towards achieving my intention. Following this, I watched and took notes on popular films with Chinese characters in them. I picked these films based on the DVDs and streaming services I had at the time, Netflix, Stan, and Disney Plus, for both convenience and budgeting. Apart from 16 Candles, a film with a side character that an article had described as a racist caricature, all the films selected had clear themes of Chinese culture. Watching these movies allowed me to find common tropes which were used later to guide questions in my survey. I sent out a questionnaire to classmates, friends, family, and co workers to gauge the public's perception. A downside of this is that surveying people I know may be adding bias to the data. However, I chose these people because I knew they would take my research seriously. Some people did my initial survey, but not my post survey, so I was glad I had direct personal contact with them. I made a form with various questions online so that it was widely accessible and easier to summarize data. While I haven't analysed their answers yet, their responses will be valuable in achieving my learning intention and answering how films have influenced public perception. Whilst waiting on responses, I continued to watch more films and read further articles and interviews to strategically manage my time. I sought and gained feedback from one of the English teachers at my school, who suggested that I consider how the Chinese government's censorship policies have impacted the film industry, which added depth to my research and a new perspective to consider. This had personal value as I was able to see the negative side of China and consider how their politics may have affected culture. Survey respondents encouraged me to watch and analyze Jackie Chan films, however, his films were not accessible to me. This was a risk I'd spotted in my SWOT analysis, so I accounted for it by instead borrowing his autobiography from the library. This enabled me to continue making progress in my learning instead of ignoring their valuable feedback. I had a personal bias against Jackie Chan after hearing about his affair and his support for the Chinese Communist Party, but reading his book allowed me a greater tolerance and a wider perspective. Through doing this research, I've been able to reconnect with my Chinese roots, which has personal value for me in helping to shape my perception of identity and culture. I was also able to chat with people who I haven't talked to in years and even found someone from my primary school who's also planning to go into chemical engineering, which establishes business contacts and career potential. This opportunity for connecting with others was something that I had spotted in my SWOT analysis and was glad I was able to take advantage of. I learnt that I tend to do my work in stints and fixations, focusing heavily on it and prioritizing one week and completely ignoring it the next. As a time management strategy, I made a weekly plan and put dedicated study times for AIF into my calendar. Balancing my time so I don't burn out is a valuable skill for my future, and that I'm planning to attend university, and go into a job with long work hours. It made me consider that fly in, fly out work may be a good idea as it would allow me to maximize my pre existing work ethic habits. In the next few weeks, I plan to analyze my survey data and summarize my findings. I also want to interview and seek feedback from one of my old Chinese classmates, Sarah Xu, who is looking at a career in acting, and use this to guide any further research. Overall, undertaking this AIF project has been a valuable experience in helping me take advantage of my strengths and continue to work on my weaknesses and grow and learn from them.